Now, you can get adept in a category. Let's say you've been hit with a lot of accusation in a category of life, in a abominable, depressive, horonaim way. You can work your mind, overcome it to where it hardly ever comes to your mind. But from time to time, down the road, little snippets, little progenies of that horonaim are going to try to build another wall. But you make those boogers cry too in destruction. Flee, save your lives, and be like the heath in the wilderness. Now, whether this is addressed to us in a positive way, or is this speaking to Moab? It's probably speaking to Moab. Save your lives, yeah. Get out of there, Moab. You're getting your butt kicked. This guy's going to annihilate you. And this is what the old nature will do. It will recede. You're always going to have it, but you can beat its head in like whack-a-mole. You can whack its moly head and whack it so bad you break the spring on the mole, it doesn't pop up. It might take a few years. It takes off. Resist the devil and he will what? Flee. There you go. That documents what that means. Now I got it. Heath in the wilderness is a Orientalism referring to abandonment. Heath is like a little sagebrush in the middle of a desert, abandoned, left to die. Boy, I love do that to Moab. Resist Moab, and he shall get out there and be isolated, dying off. For because thou hast trusted in thy works and in thy treasures, thou shalt also be taken. And Chemosh shall go forth into captivity with his priests and his princes together. Now, Chemosh. Look at some of these notes I've made. God of the Moabites. Boy, that's a big one. That's the name of one of the Moabite gods. And it literally means, and I got this from our Bible dictionary, the swift, the subduer, is cut off, as if departing or fleeing. Context, flee. Chemosh means a pursuer that is caused to flee. See how this is an extended metaphor. This is how you work it through. You think it through. I just sit here and think of illustrations of chasing unbelieving armies, of unbelieving armies slaying each other, of David's mighty men killing 300 of the enemy in a field, of Jonathan and his armor bearer racking and ruining the Philistines in 1 Samuel 14, all on their own, causing pandemonium, causing chaos in the rank of the enemy. Chemosh shall go forth into captivity. That's your old nature with his priests and his princes. So that means leadership. Religious leadership in your old nature is wrong teaching or is guilt and condemnation. Old habits ritualized from the religious side, the Pharisee side of life. Princes, you could say it from a political point of view or any other point of view, educational, profession, where you've had bad leadership, communicate lousy principles, trashy proverbs, selfish so-called principles, but have been manipulated from a dark nature point of view. And since I no longer praise Moab, I'm not praising that wrong teaching. Now, if I can glean something positive out of it, I have every right to do that. Remember 1 Thessalonians 5? See, that's another thing. You just consistently check yourself with the epistles. It takes time, but the more time you put in, the more in depth it's in your soul, and you can utilize it in your daily life of standing and withstanding against your enemy. Remember 1 Thessalonians 5, the great 21, prove all things. Prove means to make positive proof. Take the word, compare it to something said, something that was done, something inferred, some relationship you had. Prove all things. Hold fast, retain that which is good. Good is the great word kalos, K-A-L-O-S, that which is ideal from a godly source. You hold fast to what you can. I can do that with even some of the most devilish people that have been worked against me. I still at times can glean things. Essentially, they were utilizing them as from a parasitical point of view, but just certain things said at times, I can work it into my whole process of the renewing of the mind. See, that's another thing I made a note on earlier. The old nature is a parasite. It leeches on and to life and sucks the life out of you. The old nature is predatory, predacious. It's a predator. It's a parasite. Physical parasites you sure want to get out of your body. What about this spiritual parasite called Moab? Other places called Ammon. Other places called Philistine. Other places called Pharisee. Other places called priests and prophets, false prophets. Boy, it's a biggie. And the spoiler shall come upon every city. Guess who's the spoiler? I am. You are. We are the aggressive spoiler of these aggregate cities of Moab. We are the ones on the attack. They are the ones fleeing. You attack Horonaim. You attack Ker. You attack Nebo, Misgab. You attack madmen. Boy, get that artificial framework out of your mind. Get that superficiality out of your soul. And you'll find this dung superficiality and senses faith Christians loaded with it. Loaded with it. Elaborate, multi-layers of fashionable waste is their mind, is their life. The spoiler shall come upon every city. Every city. There's 17 very specific old nature traits listed in Galatians 5:19 to 21. Every one of those we can be more than a conqueror on top of. Sometimes the way I like to look at it is the ones in Romans are outward assault. The ones in Galatians are inward. That'll help you put them together. Romans 8:35 to 39. Nakedness, peril, the sword. Those are outside assaults, outside in, with which we must deal. Galatians 5 deals with the inward breakdowns. And that's where these aggregates of Moab really come into operation. The inward assaults. In the night, Ar of Moab is laid to waste and brought to silence. In the night, Kir of Moab is laid to waste and brought to silence. Wow. That phrase comes up in here. Maybe I haven't gotten to it yet.